My adoptive father was the male villain, and my adoptive mother was an evil supporting character. Afraid I would be bullied, they taught me every scheme and trick they'd accumulated over their lives. I picked out the essentials and skipped the messy parts. Things went smoothly, and I grew darker and more ruthless. Then one day, the main couple came to reclaim me. They saw my hair dyed garishly and watched me pin a blond boy to the ground, punching him hard from side to side while asking, "Do you want to be a eunuch or my boyfriend?" The female lead fainted on the spot. "Where is my soft, fragrant little daughter?" she cried. From early on, my adoptive parents planted one belief in me. There are two people in this world I absolutely must kill. While other kids were being held and shown Peppa Pig, I was in the basement learning how to break someone's neck. My childhood had no dolls, only taekwondo, boxing, and swordsmanship. My adoptive father said, "Showing mercy to an enemy is cruelty to yourself." When I was 3, my adoptive mother found me in the trunk of a car. That day, her Maserati car had been hit from behind by some thug who'd illegally changed lanes. It was obvious he was driving against the law, but he still got out and yelled at her, demanding $100,000 in compensation. My adoptive mother laughed and called my adoptive father over. He twisted the man's limbs out of joint with swift, decisive moves like dismantling a broken toy. The man passed out in pain, slumped on the ground. My adoptive father wiped the blood from his hands and was about to walk away when he heard a faint cry from the trunk. Inside the trunk was me, a chubby little girl curled up and trembling. My adoptive father looked at me for 2 seconds and frowned so hard he could have crushed a fly. At first, he intended to leave me, but my adoptive mother scooped me up and said, with a smile, "All those women online show off their daughters every day. If we had one, she'd be even prettier than theirs." So they took me home, and as it turned out, they were right. The wives from that social circle brightened the moment they saw me. One day, a rude rich woman brought her son to visit. While the adults weren't looking, that brat lunged forward and planted a slap-happy kiss on my face. The smile froze on my adoptive mother's face. That night, she taught me a lesson for life. If anyone dares touch you again, gouge out their eyes with a fork if you can. Take their hands and feet, too. The next day, that family never showed up again, and my adoptive mother blocked all those baby-bragging women online from then on. I was extremely hard to raise as a child, picky with food, always crying, perpetually sick like an alarm bell. My adoptive mother would scold angrily, "If you won't eat, then starve. What are you crying about? Cry again and I'll throw you out." Yet she'd immediately call around to find chefs. What on earth is this tomato candy? Will a child die from eating it? Cotton candy? Pfft. Buy one for me to try. Chocolate is no good. A dog would die from it. What about humans? Buy me a whole crate and let's see. My adoptive father was even worse. He couldn't stand to see me cry. Every time I shed a tear, he'd go stone-faced, pull out a knife, and threaten, "Cry again, and I'll chop you up right now." But when he saw my terrified face, before I could even wipe my tears away, he panicked and threw the knife out the window. After that, there wasn't even a fruit knife left in the house. They patted every table corner, terrified I might hurt myself. Once my adoptive father discovered that whenever he lifted me up high, I stopped crying. From then on, after coming home from work, the first thing he did was wash, change, put me on his shoulders, and run around the house. Imagine a cold, stern man, nearly 6'3", carrying a 3-year-old on his neck, making horse noises, neigh, neigh, and shouting, "Run faster!" My adoptive mother would sit on the sofa and roll her eyes. What a nutcase. But it wasn't long before she joined the crazy team, too. When I was 5, I had a high fever, 40 degrees, delirious, and too weak to cry, only able to snuggle into my adoptive mother's arms and whimper. The doctor came to give an injection to bring the fever down. The moment the needle was revealed, my adoptive mother erupted. "Is that needle that big? Are you trying to stab my child to death? Will that leave a scar? My daughter's going to wear a bikini someday." My adoptive father stood to the side with a terrifyingly gloomy face. He grabbed the doctor's collar and said in an ice-cold voice, "If the little girl doesn't survive, you won't either." The doctor's hand trembled and almost missed with the needle. That night, my fever dropped a little. When I opened my eyes groggily, I saw my adoptive father sitting by the bed, his eyes red, holding my hand and saying, "If you die, your mother and I won't be able to go on living either." Later, I learned that day, my father nearly smashed up the whole hospital. On my 6th birthday, I was kidnapped. They demanded a ransom of $1 million. My adoptive father listened without a word, then immediately went to the bank and withdrew $1 million in cash. The kidnappers kept their word, took the money, and released me, except that at the exchange, a masked man suddenly slapped me. My left cheek burned, tears sprang to my eyes. Less than a second later, my adoptive father had the man by the throat, his voice calm as if asking about the weather. "Which of your hands hit my child?" Before the man could react, my adoptive father pulled out a box cutter, followed the lines of the man's fingerprints, and slowly sliced through layer after layer of flesh like cutting sashimi. My adoptive mother stood beside him, calmly applying lipstick, glanced at the kidnapper as he screamed and frowned. "Noisy!" She snapped her fingers, and 4 men in black suits immediately stepped out of the shadows. A week later, that kidnapper was thrown into the worst slum in India wearing a powder-pink princess dress. From then on, my bedtime routine changed too. No more Peppa Pig. Instead, I was read books on human anatomy. No more Sailor Moon, replaced by manuals on applied chemistry. My adoptive father sat by the bed and, using a cooing voice to soothe the child, asked, "Do you know where to strike that hurts the most but leaves no scar?" He took my finger and pointed lightly under the ribs. "This is the Qianghu point. Hit it with the right force and the person will go into shock, but on the skin, there'll only be a tiny red spot." My adoptive mother was far more pragmatic. She gave me a box of children's makeup. On the outside, it looked like nothing but blush and sparkles, yet each shade had a function. The red was an anesthetic, the green caused paralysis, and the white, when mixed into water, would make whoever drank it temporarily lose their memory. She pinched my cheek and smiled sweetly. "A daughter must know how to protect herself, okay?" When I started primary school, they suddenly remembered it had been a while since they dealt with their enemies. It was already past 10 at night, but the 2 of them still came up with a ridiculous scheme: have someone pour water to kill the enemy's money tree, and while at it, take their dogs and cats too. Before I came home, they'd always been dominated by their rivals, and had never won once. But the more they failed, the bolder they became. Ever since I returned, they began winning left and right, 100 battles, 100 victories. My adoptive mother always said I was the family's lucky star, but I heard their enemy was a married couple. They took a honeymoon and their child was stolen, so they had no heart left to fight my adoptive parents. I thought if their child could be stolen from their house, they couldn't be that terrifying. But my adoptive father said Liam Smith was one of his 2 enemies, also my adoptive mother's first love and former fiancé. Before the wedding, Liam left her for a barmaid named Cora Jones, out of love. Turned to hatred, my adoptive mother pushed her fiancé away with her own hands. I asked my adoptive father, "And you? Why do you hate them?" He sighed. "That idiot Liam thought I was trying to steal that barmaid, nearly costing me my honor." Hearing that, I silently sharpened my blade in my mind, truly an enemy without end. In my class, there was a fat boy who sat in the back and loved to pull my braids. Every morning, my adoptive mother spent half an hour braiding my hair, attaching strings of pearls and decorating it meticulously. But at school, the fat kid would tug once, and my hair would be tangled into a mess like a haystack. I warned him 3 times. The 4th time, I turned and swung a stainless steel thermos straight at him. His front teeth flew half a meter and landed beside the teacher's desk. He clutched his mouth and wailed, his fingers bleeding, while I still held a handful of his hair. The teacher immediately called my parents, voice trembling. Emma Johnson has knocked out a classmate's tooth and repeatedly slammed his head on the desk. Half an hour later, my adoptive father's private helicopter touched down on the school grounds. He stepped out in a sharp suit. An assistant behind him carried a contract worth tens of millions and shouted, "CEO Nolan, sign here!" My adoptive father didn't bother to turn his head. "Get out! My daughter's killed someone. I have to deal with the aftermath." My adoptive mother was even worse. She stormed into the principal's office wearing a facial mask. "Who bullied my daughter?" The teacher, shaking, backed into a corner. It was your daughter who bullied someone else." My adoptive father bent down to check my wrist. "Does it hurt, sweetheart?" My adoptive mother opened my hand and examined it. "Oh, what tacky hair! You've stained my baby's hands red!" The fat boy's parents were about to blow up when my adoptive father coldly tossed a black card onto the desk. "Tooth replacement, hair transplant, emotional damages, swipe it." He paused, squinting, then added, "But if I ever hear any of you touch my daughter again, next time it won't just be teeth falling out." The next day, all the desks around mine became a restricted zone. The fat kid transferred to another school. Rumor had it that after his father received the black card, he immediately filed for an overseas transfer that same night. My adoptive mother braided my hair again, humming softly as she sang, "Anyone who dares." Mess up the hair I braid for you. I'll make a hairpin from their bones, all right? I nodded vigorously, sipping strawberry milk through my straw. When I entered high school, for some reason, it was as if my hidden meridians had all opened up. On the day monthly test results were posted, my homeroom teacher's voice trembled. Emma Johnson ranked first in the entire grade. Math, 100 points. English, 100 points. Literature, lost only 2 points in the essay section. My adoptive parents stared at the report card, faces so tense they could crush a fly. Father, these scores must be a printing error, right? Mother, or cheating? Should we hire someone to investigate? That evening, an old man in a Taoist robe came to the house with a peachwood sword, dancing and chanting around my bed for a full hour. He said there was an abnormal aura in the house, but all 7 of my souls were intact, no sign of possession. I was licking an ice pop as I passed by the study when I overheard furious arguing inside. Father, I couldn't even pass my university entrance exams. Mother, I didn't even take the exam. I even bought my diploma. Father, the teacher said our daughter could get into a university. Mother, and what kind of chicken farm school is that supposed to be? Father flipped through the brochure with a pained voice. Not only a chicken farm. Look at their motto, perseverance and virtue carry all. They're trying to turn her into a bookworm. To keep me from walking the wrong path, my parents went on a frenzy trying every possible hobby. My mother came in with a plate of fruit, sweet-talking me. Did you watch Produce 101? You're prettier than all those trainees. Soon, a famous entertainment industry guidebook called The Black and Red Strategy appeared on my desk. My father even underlined in red, page 3, how to get free publicity from paparazzi. That weekend, while I was eating breakfast, my father slid a check across the table. I invested in a movie. The lead actress hasn't been chosen yet. What do you think? I silently took out the gold medal I'd just received from the National Physics Olympiad. The fork in my mother's hand clattered to the floor. The situation peaked the day my admission letter arrived. My father held the gold-embossed envelope, his hand shaking violently. A university? Are they really planning to turn my daughter into a scientist? As soon as summer break started, my parents booked an entire 5-star hotel to throw a party celebrating my acceptance. My mother, dressed in couture, lifted a glass of champagne and smiled at the guests. Oh, we just raised her casually. Who'd have thought she'd turn out this brilliant? Then she slipped away to the dressing room, clutching the admission letter and kissing it over and over until lipstick prints covered the whole page. My father went even further. He ordered a custom fondant cake shaped exactly like a university's main gate. When cutting it, his hands trembled so much he nearly stabbed through the school's nameplate. Near the end of the party, he suddenly pulled me into a very important person lounge, his face dark as a storm. I just got word that Liam Smith's son, Mason Smith, also got into a university. My mother snapped a fingernail in anger. That mutt? I heard he got in through the Olympiad route, too. I twirled the butterfly knife in my hand, a gift from my father for getting into college, and asked lazily, so what? My father took a deep breath. Listen to me. If you see him, walk the other way. My mother, for once, agreed stay away from that family. They bring nothing but bad luck. I tilted my head and smiled brightly. Of course, I was just kidding. A father's debts must be repaid by his child. That's only fair. I will make Mason Smith kneel at my feet and admit with his own mouth that his father is a dog. On the first day of university, my parents were supposed to escort me there. The private helicopter was already arranged. My mother had even prepared 20 sets of custom academy uniforms so I could wear a different one each day. But before dawn, my father's phone exploded with calls. Mr. Nolan, Liam Smith just cut off our Southeast Asia arms supply. My father was so furious, he threw his milk carton to the floor and roared, that stupid dog. My mother wasn't doing any better. While shopping for my school shoes, she ran into a group of rich heiresses. One of them casually told the clerk, I'll take this pair, wrap it up. Then turned and smiled at my mother. Sorry, if you like them, I can gift you another pair. My mother dug her nails into her palm, then immediately sent me a voice message. You think I need her charity? That stupid woman doesn't know her place. The socialites are about to arrive at her house and she's still pretending to be nice. Baby, handle your own enrollment. Mommy's going to rip that filthy mouth open. I sighed and replied, then make sure not to break your nails again or you'll be crying all night. When I arrived at campus, I politely refused a senior's offer to carry my luggage and pulled my suitcase toward the dorm by myself. As soon as I turned onto the tree-lined path, I bumped into a tall, slender boy. White shirt, black trousers, sharp features, the kind of quiet beauty you'd see in an ink painting. I narrowed my eyes, Mason Smith. He seemed to have sensed me beforehand. He looked up, our eyes met, and for a brief moment he froze, then quickly regained composure, gave a slight nod, and walked away. On the very first day, Mason Smith dominated the university confession page under the tag Freshman Heartthrob. Candid photos of him flooded the feed, leaning against the library. Window reading. Sleeves rolled up to reveal pale wrists. Jumping. For a three-pointer on the basketball court, his shirt fluttering in the October sunset, his slim waist sharp as a blade. The comment section was chaos. In 3 minutes, I want every piece of information on this man. Upperclassmen, back off. This year's freshman is mine. I scrolled coldly through my phone, casually tapping open the student council announcement for tomorrow's basketball-friendly match. The next day, the court was packed, especially with girls. Mason Smith was chosen as a starting player. The moment he stepped onto the court, he made 2 three-pointers in a row. The cheers almost blew the roof off the gymnasium. I walked over slowly, a cold bottle of mineral water in hand. Under hundreds of eyes, I stopped in front of him, smiling innocently. Want some water? But in truth, I'd poured twice the normal dose of laxative into that bottle. Mason Smith wiped sweat from his forehead with the hem of his shirt. The glimpse of firm abs flashed across my eyes. His gaze flicked to the bottle and he suddenly laughed. Thanks. He took it, twisted the cap off, and, instead of drinking, tilted it over his head. The icy water ran down his jawline, over his Adam's apple, soaking through his shirt. All around us, the girls gasped in unison. That fake little witch actually dared to hand the water to him? Why didn't I think of that? My legs broken or what? She's pretty, sure, but the kind of flirty, smug pretty that screams trouble. I turned back with a sweet smile and looked right at them. You're right, I am trouble. What, handing water out makes you a charity worker now? The crowd erupted. I grabbed a bottle from one of the girls, dumped it into the trash, and added, We're all sly foxes here. Who has time to pretend to be a pure white bunny? Then I winked at Mason Smith. Before he could react, I unscrewed the second bottle, also spiked, and poured it directly over his limited edition basketball shoes. Mason froze for half a second, looked down at his drenched shoes. I tilted my head, smiling innocently. Oops, sorry. My hand slipped, and I turned to leave. Behind me, the girl's shrieks exploded like thunder. She did that on purpose. So cruel, trying to make the campus heartthrob remember her that way. I heard her family has mafia ties. No wonder she's so arrogant. Without looking back, I raised a hand and waved cheerfully. Exactly. I want him to remember me, remember never to mess with me again. From that day on, Mason Smith's college life became peculiarly lively. In the cafeteria, every time he sat down, someone would accidentally spill tomato and egg soup onto him. The red and yellow broth splashed precisely across his white shirt, looking like an abstract painting. In the library, someone would accidentally shake their pen and splatter ink right onto his forehead, trickling down his straight nose like a condemned man in a historical drama. During the alumni rehearsal, a raw egg came flying out of nowhere, cracking against the back of his head. Yolk and white clung to his hair, glistening under the sunlight. The whole campus buzzed. I heard a transfer student came here for revenge. She's targeting Mason Smith. They say her father's in the mafia. Poor Mason. But damn, he's still gorgeous. What shocked everyone was Mason's response. He posted publicly on the university confession page, to a certain student surnamed Johnson, please stop all intentional attempts to attract my attention. I'm already engaged, and it's inappropriate to respond to such behavior. Instantly, the internet blew up. By the next morning, every prank I'd pulled was twisted into love, turned to hate, unrequited obsession, and deranged heartbreak. Girls looked at me with pitying eyes. No wonder she's crazy. It's unrequited love. Poor thing. But she had it coming. Serves her right for being so toxic. I stared at my phone screen, lips curling into a cold smile. All right, Mason Smith, you want to play the media game? Let's play. After class, I cornered him on the path behind the lab building. The moment he saw me, his lips curled. Emma, come to confess your love. Too bad, I'm engaged. My fist clenched, bones cracking audibly. I forced a stiff smile. Who said I liked you? He raised an eyebrow. Didn't you? I couldn't hold it anymore. I swung a punch straight at him. But Mason's reflexes were fast. He caught my wrist, pulled hard, and I stumbled forward, almost crashing into his chest. He looked down at me, dark eyes deep and calm, voice feigning innocence. Emma? Can't stand straight? I ground my teeth. Can't you tell I was trying to punch you? Just then, Jesse Thomas ran over grinning. If you don't like Mason, how about me? I'm loyal, obedient. Tell me east, I'd never go west. Mason shot him a flat look. You snore, grind your teeth, fart, and scratch your feet. Jesse's face went from red to green. What? Lies! Who told you that? In the chaos, I yanked my wrist free and kicked Mason hard in the shin. He grunted, stumbling half a step back. I smiled sweetly. What's wrong, Mason? Can't stand straight either? Then, still smiling playfully, I added, by the way, I have a boyfriend, too, and one of his fingers could crush a little chick like you. Mason's face darkened. I whistled and pointed my thumb downward, a universal sign of utter disdain. That night, my adoptive mother called me, furious. Listen, that Cora Jones woman seems to have found new clues about her kidnapped daughter. Her mood's better, but now she's taking it out on your father's company again. Over the weekend, she dragged me to the most spiritually powerful temple in the city to pray away bad luck. While stuffing a gold bar into the offering box, she cursed through gritted teeth. That stupid woman. She even brought her cousin to the company for a meeting the moment they walked in. The cousin couldn't take her eyes off your father's tie. I was lighting incense and asked casually, and then... Mother snorted. Then your dad lured the idiot into the restroom, locked the door, and left her screaming for half an hour. The janitor had to pry the door open with a mop handle. I burst out laughing, knelt before the Buddha statue, palms together. Buddha, please bless my parents with good health and long life. Then, narrowing my eyes, I added quietly, and please make Mason Smith's pants rip right. At the crotch, fall into the toilet when he pees, and drop his phone in the bathwater. No sooner had I finished than a soft chuckle came from behind me. I turned sharply. Mason Smith stood 3 steps away, beside a glamorous woman dripping with jewels. Today he wore a black turtleneck, his pale skin and sharp features looking as if painted in ink. His eyes curved in a half-smile. Seems like you don't need to curse me that badly, do you? I kept a straight face. Not badly enough. I can add choking on food, drowning on water, and total family bankruptcy. The woman gasped sharply. My mother hurriedly pulled me up and forced a laugh. Kids say silly things. But Mason leaned closer, voice low near my ear. Funny coincidence, I just drew a fortune slip for you, too. He waved a golden paper in front of me. I snatched it, tore it in half, and smiled sweetly. Superstitions aren't reliable. Maybe I should show you what real bad luck feels like. At that moment, the jeweled woman suddenly pushed my mother aside and grabbed my wrist. Her eyes trembled with intense emotion as she tried to lift my collar to look at something. My mother smacked her hand away. Are you insane? What do you think you're doing? But Cora Jones ignored her, eyes locked on my face. Her fingers shook as she reached toward my cheek. You look so much like her. It's uncanny. My mother yanked me back sharply, her voice ice cold. Stay away from my daughter. She shot Mason Smith a glare. Your fox of a mother and your precious father mean the world to you, if that. Woman. So much as gets a paper cut. Are you going to blame it on my child next? Got it. I'll keep clear paragraph breaks for easy reading. Here's the faithful, natural English translation. My adoptive mother gritted her teeth. If my daughter loses even a single hair, the Johnsons won't let it slide. She pulled me away, but Cora Jones, like a woman possessed, suddenly asked, Emma, when is your birthday? My adoptive mother said coldly, Cora, haven't you caused enough trouble? Don't think just because I'm here praying I'm easy to push around. Want me to beat you straight out of this temple? Cora Jones clutched her face, voice trembling. I only thought, she looks so much like my mother. I paused. Like your mother? So I'm your great-grandmother now? Go on, try calling me great-great-grandma. Cora Jones grabbed my shoulders out of nowhere. Do you have a red mole in the middle of your chest? I held my breath. I did, in fact, have one. My adoptive mother froze too, and turned to look at me, panic in her eyes. I lifted my chin and answered evenly, No. The light in Cora Jones's eyes went out at once. Mason Smith patted her shoulder, then shot me a meaningful glance. On the way home, my adoptive mother clutched my hand so tightly her own was shaking. Out of nowhere, she choked up and asked, Tell me, is it possible you really are that idiot woman's daughter who was kidnapped years ago? That red mole on your chest? I hadn't even answered when she broke down first, sobbing like a boiling kettle. Hoo, my daughter is this beautiful, her biological parents must be top tier. The more I think about it, How could someone like Cora Jones give birth to a child this pretty? She suddenly stopped, blew her nose into a tissue, and muttered, "But, to be fair, her face isn't that bad." I hurried to pat her back. "Mom, I'll always be your daughter." Her eyes were red as she looked at me, overwhelmed. But what if it's true? She crushed me into a hug and rasped, "Even if you really are that idiot's child, I won't stop you from acknowledging them. For you, I can make peace with Cora Jones." Looking at her mascara smeared all over, I thought, great, this time she really is in shock. Once we got home, my adoptive father, Nolan Johnson, heard the whole story and immediately made a call, ordering people to dig up old photos of Cora Jones's mother. In less than half an hour, a vintage photo popped up on the computer, a young Cora Jones, holding little Ellie Smith, with a faint red mole visible beneath her collarbone. My adoptive mother stayed up all night, hoarse from crying, clutching our half-asleep husky on the sofa and sobbing into its fur. My adoptive father fussed over her, then turned to me. "What do you think?" I munched an apple and said casually, "Simple. Do a DNA test." I blinked at my adoptive mother, grinning wickedly. "If it's true, I'll make Cora Jones call you great-grandma." She stopped crying at once. My adoptive parents discussed it through the night and finally decided to pick a suitable time to take me to the Smiths to acknowledge kin. Mason Smith and I quietly checked the timing of when Liam Smith reported his daughter missing. As it happened, it lined up exactly with when my adoptive mother found me. Acknowledging them wasn't that important to me at first, but overnight, I'd turned into the enemy's daughter. It felt like betraying my adoptive parents. So my rebellious phase hit like lightning. The more Mason Smith said I was like them, the more I wanted to be different. I chopped off my long hair and dyed it every gaudy color so, from a distance, I looked like a fistful of rainbow chicken feathers flapping in the wind. When Cora Jones and Liam Smith got out of their car and found me, I had a blonde guy pinned to the ground, punching him nonstop. Eunuch or boyfriend? Pick one. The blonde kid bawled, "Boyfriend! Boyfriend!" Cora Jones went white. "Where's my soft, sweet little daughter?" I scratched my head, pretending not to care. "Have you told my mom you're snatching someone else's daughter like this?" Obviously, they'd snuck over on their own. Cora Jones asked if I'd be willing to take a DNA test. I raised a brow. "Yesterday, you yanked a $10 billion deal from my dad. Liam Smith snatched the jewelry set my mom just imported, and there were those fresh luxury bags." Cora cut me off. "We'll bring them all to you." Not even an hour later, everything was delivered to our house. My adoptive mother called, breathless. "Cora Jones just dumped a mountain of gifts at our door. Get back here and help me receive them." I gave a quick rundown of the situation. My adoptive father fell silent for a few seconds. Then his voice got teary. "Emma, don't force yourself. Your mother and I really don't lack money, but if you can squeeze one more cut out of them, don't hold back." The next morning, my adoptive parents solemnly dressed me in a pure white dress, saying they were taking me to the Smiths to pay a little visit. While brushing my hair, my adoptive mother muttered, "If Cora Jones dares cry later, I'm ripping off her fake lashes." My adoptive father added seriously, "If Liam Smith dares not recognize you, I'll hack his company's firewall into dust." I arched a brow. "So, are we visiting, or are we staging a home invasion?" As soon as we reached the Smiths Villa gate, we heard gut-wrenching sobbing from inside. We pushed the door open and saw a girl in a floral dress clinging to Cora Jones. "Mom, I'm Ellie Smith, your birth daughter who was kidnapped." The whole house fell dead silent. My adoptive parents exchanged a look and instantly switched to watching the drama mode, dragging me to the front row with snacks to spectate. Well, wasn't that my roommate Lily Miller? At the dorm, she always kept her bangs covering half her face and rarely spoke to anyone. Now she seemed like a different person entirely, eyes brimming with tears as she produced a DNA test report. "I finally found you both." Liam Smith took the report with shaking hands. "So it really is Ellie, my daughter." My adoptive mother suddenly clapped. "Congratulations! Congratulations!" My adoptive father immediately stuck out his hand. "President Liam, what a blessing." One on each side, they clasped my hands and beamed. "We're just here to attend the happy reunion. Now that your family is complete, congratulations!" Cora Jones stared from my face to Lily Miller in her arms, doubt creeping in. Could the test be wrong? Lily's body went rigid. She suddenly pointed at me and screamed, "It's her! She bullies me at school! She deliberately poured water on my bed." I said, "You spilled it yourself and wouldn't admit it." She screeched again. She also stole my underwear. I lifted an eyebrow. You call that underwear? If you hadn't said so, I'd have thought they were 2 strings. Lily yanked down her collar to reveal a faint scratch on her collarbone. She threatened me with a knife. The whole house gasped again. I stared at the mark. That ridiculous thing was obviously from when she scraped herself on the horizontal bar in PE last week. To my surprise, Cora Jones stepped in front of me and whispered, Emma doesn't seem like the type to do those things. I hesitated for a beat. My adoptive father's eyes went round. He muttered, so her eyes aren't blind today. He strode up and slapped Lily across the face with a sharp crack. What are you, that you dare slander my daughter? Then he turned to Cora Jones. I'll discipline your daughter for you. No objections, right? Cora shrank her neck and nodded quickly. No objections. Lily clutched her cheek, stunned. Mom? Her face went paper white. She suddenly lunged toward Mason Smith, wailing, Mason! Did you forget? Emma Johnson always bullies you. She's jealous that I'm your fiancé, so she keeps causing trouble. Excuse me? Lily Miller is Mason Smith's fiancé? People still playing raise a wife from childhood these days? Mason calmly brushed her hand away. First of all, Emma doesn't bully me. She's pursuing me. I am speechless. My adoptive father scooted right up. Emma's pursuing him? Want me to just kidnap him for you? My adoptive mother whipped out her phone. Or should we get rid of the fiancé first? I gave a dry laugh. No need. I already have a boyfriend. The room froze. My adoptive mother clutched her chest and staggered back 2 steps on the verge of fainting. A boyfriend. My adoptive father's hands shook. His phone fell to the floor and shattered into a spiderweb. Who is he? Since when? Can he beat me in a fight? I said breezily. We started dating yesterday. In my head, I thought, I don't even know the blonde kid's last name. He just looked like a golden retriever. Too bad he got on a plane out of the country last night. Mason Smith's eyes narrowed, dangerous, and fixed on me. I don't believe it. Understood. I'll keep clean paragraph breaks. Here's the faithful natural English translation. Lily Miller seized the opening, her voice shrill. She already has a boyfriend and still flirts with you. Shameless. Mason Smith actually laughed, speaking lazily. I'm the one who seduced her. Mason lifted his eyes to look straight at Cora Jones and Liam Smith, voice calm but brooking no argument. I want to change my fiancé. Lily went hysterical, lunging forward. No, the engagement was set in childhood. You can't cancel it. Liam Smith frowned, glanced at me in embarrassment, then turned back to Lily and suddenly said, You can, but first, both you and Emma have to take a DNA test. Lily's face changed at once. What do you mean by that? You don't trust me? Liam didn't answer. Meanwhile, Mason's gaze had gone quiet and fixed on the neckline of my shirt. A chill ran down my spine. Had he seen the red mole on my chest back at the temple? That night, I moved out of the dorm. Lily Miller and I both moved into the Smith residence. Apparently, Liam and Cora were still half convinced, half doubtful, and wanted tests done. On both sides, so Lily cried the whole night and smashed every mirror in her room. My adoptive mother asked me softly, if she really is Cora Jones's biological daughter, will you be sad? I was hanging a dartboard on the wall of my new place and didn't even turn around. Sad about what? All she stole was an identity I never wanted. Thud. The dart sank dead center into the bullseye. Before the test results were released, Mason messaged me on WeChat. Who's your boyfriend? I replied, What's it to you? He texted back immediately. Because I'm your fiancé. Me, when did I agree to that? And we don't even have the DNA results yet, and even if we did, I still wouldn't agree. Silence from his end, until someone knocked at my door. I opened it to find Mason standing there, hair still damp, white dress shirt, soaked and clinging to him, water trailing from his jaw to his collarbone. Breathing hard, he asked, Emma, did you move into the unit next to mine? I lifted an eyebrow. Is there a problem? His voice went low. My water pipe burst. I dropped my head against the doorframe, exhausted. Call building management. He frowned. His breathing grew ragged as if he were fighting something down. Suddenly, he leaned in. Bang! And I was pinned to the floor beneath him. His body was burning hot. His breath scorched the side of my neck. His arms caged my shoulders without quite pressing down, but the distance was so close, my heart skipped a beat. I squinted. Mason Smith, what kind of drama are you pulling? He gave a rough laugh. Voice hoarse, completely unlike his usual tone. Looks like Lily Miller put something in my milk. He grabbed my hand and pressed it to his forehead. The heat made me flinch. I shoved him off, heart hammering. Lily Miller, drugged you? Trying to monopolize the Smith family assets, is she? Mason leaned on the wall, breath coming fast. If the DNA says you're the Smiths' biological daughter, will you accept me? I shot him a look. No, and instead of going to detox at a hospital, you ran here to ask nonsense? He went still, then, unexpectedly, smiled. Good. I wasn't planning to be your brother anyway. I whipped around. He was propped against the door, the corners of his eyes flushed with fever but still smirking like a fox. Fiancé sounds better. I coughed, flustered. All right, I'll call 120. Just then, Lily's voice echoed down the hall. Mason, where are you? With lightning reflexes, Mason yanked me into the room and, click, locked the door. He pressed me back against the wooden panel, one hand over my mouth. Shh, don't make a sound. His palm burned against my lips. His breath was hot and quick by my ear. My eyes widened. Outside, Lily's footsteps drew closer. So weird. I swear I saw him come this way. Mason burned like a furnace. His breath grew heavier near my ear. His Adam's apple slid up and down. Sweat had soaked his bangs. His eyes turned dark and unfocused. I was just about to lift my knee when his blocked it with his own. Don't move, he said hoarsely. I'm about to lose control. Lose control of what? Start a fight? Commit murder? I eyed him warily, then realized his gaze was fixed on my mouth. Outside, Lily's footsteps finally faded, yet Mason still didn't let go. I bared my teeth and bit down on his palm. Mason groaned softly, then leaned even closer. Emma Johnson, I really want to... Before he could finish, he staggered into the bathroom. Click. The lock turned. Water thundered into the tub, mixed with muffled groans. Afraid he'd collapse and die in my apartment, I pounded on the door. Mason Smith, open up. Steal my bathroom, will you? If you're so tough, open the door. 2 hours later, he finally emerged, face flushed, eyes evasive. Annoyed, I thrust a QR code at him. You used water for nearly 2 hours. Pay up. Mason froze on the spot. The next day, the Smith family summoned me and my adoptive parents. The DNA results were in. The kidnapped girl from years ago was indeed Lily Miller. My adoptive father exhaled in relief, eyes a little red. My adoptive mother hugged me tight, overcome. Thank goodness! I told you. How could a brain like Cora Jones's produce a perfect child like our Emma? Lily lifted her chin in smug triumph. A fake is always a fake. Smack! My adoptive mother slapped her. You're the fake. My Emma is the Johnson's sole heir in the true line. Mason stood in the Smiths' grand hall and spoke coolly. I want to annul the engagement. Liam's face darkened. His teacup slammed onto the table with a crack. You're sure you want that? Then you're no son of mine. Get out of the Smith house. I stared at Mason, wide-eyed. Was he insane? Throwing away his inheritance just to break an engagement? Lily lunged to grab his sleeve, eyes brimming. Mason, don't go. I won't force you to marry me, okay? Mason pulled his arm back, face like ice. My adoptive mother's gaze flicked around, then she smiled like a blooming flower and cut in. Oh? President Liam doesn't want this son? I don't mind. Adopting another. Absolutely not! Lily shrieked. Cora looked up at Mason, conflict churning in her eyes. In the end, she gritted her teeth. Fine. If you won't marry my daughter, then... Go. Mason turned and left, with nothing, not even his luggage. My adoptive mother, eyes crescent with delight, slipped an arm around my shoulders and hooked the other around his. Come on, come home with Mom! That night, my adoptive mother bought out a bundle of trending topics. CEO Nolan, in midlife, now blessed with both son and daughter. The photo showed my dad holding me with his left arm and slinging the other around Mason, grinning like a cat that stole the fish. Mason stood in our living room, calmly sipping coffee. Mom, where's my room? A vein popped on my adoptive father's forehead. Who said you could call her Mom? And who said you could drink my Blue Mountain? I sighed and turned to leave. Mason caught my hand and bent close to my ear with a small laugh. Little sister, help your big brother to his room. I stomped down hard on his pristine white sneaker. Go sleep in the doghouse. From the moment Mason became my brother, he flipped on Big Brother psycho mode at max level. Emma. Home by 10 p.m. No exceptions. That guy who brought you milk tea? No, too short. Also, Factor me into all dating plans. I finally snapped, grabbed a throw pillow, and hurled it at his face. Mind your own business. He caught it neatly and smiled all innocence. I'm your big brother. Big brother, my foot. Since Lily was officially welcomed back to the Smiths, she acted like she wanted Smith heiress carved across her forehead. Walking past the hallway, she deliberately shoved a black card into Mason's hand in front of everyone. Mason, you don't have any income now. Take this to use for the time being. My temper flared. I slapped her hand away. He's with me. I'll provide for him. Lily tilted her head with a mocking smile. Mason Smith isn't the type to freeload off a woman. Mason casually accepted my card instead, twirling it around his fingers. Yep, I freeload off Emma. Problem? The whole campus went dead silent. Lily looked like she'd just swallowed a live fly. Within hours, the story hit the university's hot forum. Ice-cold study. God Mason Smith publicly admits to mooching off his girlfriend. That night, my adoptive mother saw the post and nearly had a heart attack. No, a son of the Johnsons cannot actually be a freeloader. She immediately wired $500,000 into Mason's account. My adoptive father was even more decisive. He handed Mason a supplementary card, the pin set to my birthday. Remember, the Johnsons only have money left. Mason nodded obediently, then turned and handed the card straight to me. Sis, Mom says a man's money should be kept by his woman. I happily took it, though something felt slightly off. Whatever. Petty cash needs to be tucked away safely first. Lately, Lily clung to Mason like a shadow, haunting him all day. At a club fair, she asked demurely, Mason, is this seat taken? Without looking at her, Mason kicked the chair away. Yes. Taken. In the library, she plucked the very book Mason was reaching for and smiled. What a coincidence. You like this one too? Mason gave her a bored glance. Emma likes it. She even accidentally wandered to the men's restroom entrance. Mason, I got lost. Mason immediately called security. There's a pervert here. Lily started to unravel. Every time she looked at me, her eyes all but promised to flay me alive. Got it. Keeping clear paragraph breaks. Here's the faithful, natural English translation. On the day of the Smiths' reunion with their daughter, she blocked me at the classroom door, shoved a gold-foiled invitation into my hand, and tilted her chin to the sky. Your parents have been getting squeezed by my family lately, huh? If you don't come to the party, I'll have my dad buy your family's company outright. I glanced at the raised lettering, Smith family heiress, and almost burst out laughing. Loud, sure. While my adoptive father is in talks to acquire 2 of the Smith stocks. I slowly tore the invitation in half. Fine, I'll come. Make sure the ambulance is on standby, just in case my mom scratches your face into a checkerboard. She even filed her nails extra sharp last night. On the way back, Mason Smith asked, You're really going? I waggled my phone. It was a message from my adoptive mother. Baby, I've ordered you a suit of battle armor, guaranteed to outshine the entire venue. Mason frowned. Don't wear anything too revealing. I rolled my eyes. What's it to you? His thumb traced lightly along the pulse at my neck, a dangerous smile curling his lips. It's a big brother's duty to manage his little sister. I jabbed an elbow toward his ribs. He dodged it like it was nothing. At the Smiths' recognition banquet, Lily Miller peacocked around on Cora, Jones's arm fawning over every young master and debutante in sight. She made a show of the emerald necklace at her throat, beaming. This is a Smith family heirloom, only for the true-born daughter. My adoptive mother took a single look, then whispered in my ear, Fake. The real one is on you. I froze and glanced down at the jade pendant on my neck, the one Mason somehow found last night and insisted I wear. At first I didn't want to, but my adoptive father just smirked. At worst, it's worth $3 and change. Wear it for fun. Thinking back, Mason absolutely did it on purpose. He severed ties with the Smiths, yet he still borrowed their heirloom and brazenly made me wear it. I immediately covered the pendant with my hand, snuck a look around, and quickly tucked it beneath the lining of my gown. Not long after the banquet began, a waiter approached me in a low voice. Miss Emma, young Master Mason asked me to invite you over. He says it's important. I raised an eyebrow. Where is he? The waiter handed me a room keycard. Waiting upstairs. I called Mason right away. No answer. I flipped the card back into the waiter's hand. Not going. That trick? My mom was running it 20 years ago. His face went stiff. He started to say more, but I'd already turned on my heel. Back then, my mom used the room card ploy to lure my dad. He reversed it, locked the door, and interrogated her all night. In the end, he snapped the card in half, then walked out on legs shaking like noodles. I was fixing my lipstick in the restroom when muttering drifted from the next stall, teeth grinding audibly. System. If Emma Johnson won't go up to the room, what do we do? Won't the plan fall apart? Why did she get kidnapped and still end up being raised by the Johnsons? I'm clearly the transmigrated female lead who stole her fate, so why did I suffer in an orphanage for over 10 years? I froze. What was she saying? Transmigration? A system? Stealing fate? Right then, Lily Miller's phone rang. She picked up, snapped, got it, and hung up. System. Didn't you say this is the latest anesthetic? Why is Mason Smith about to wake up? Emma Johnson absolutely cannot find him first. Click. The stall door opened. I slipped out and followed, keeping just far enough back that her system wouldn't notice, nearly lost her twice. She went straight up to the hotel's 35th floor. After a quick look around, she pushed open a room, the very number that matched the card the waiter had given me. At that, I clenched my fist. Whatever else, Mason had turned back to shore, and he's my brother now. I couldn't just watch him die. I lifted my hand to pound on the door when someone clamped a palm over my mouth and dragged me into the next room. Behind us, I heard my mother and Cora calling, "Miss Emma! Emma, are you all right?" I spun around, eyes going wide. Mason Smith sat in the center. To his left, my adoptive father was on the sofa with Liam Smith. To his right, Cora Jones and my mom were cozied up together like old friends. Had the sun risen in the west? 3 unfamiliar men lay on the floor, trussed up like festival rice cakes. I blinked hard. On the table, a laptop streamed live footage from the room across the hall. On screen, Lily crept to the bed, pulled up a blanket, and tucked it around. A figure lying with his back to her, looking very much like Mason. She bowed her head and murmured, "Mason, the one who truly suits you is me." In front of the monitor, Mason's face had gone pitch black, his lips pressed into a hard line. My mom's eyes brimmed. She turned to me. "Emma, you're actually the Smiths' biological daughter." I stared. She choked out, "The first test, she stole your hair from the dorm. The second, she bribed someone to switch the samples." Cora and Liam looked at me with a mix of hope and nerves. I asked softly, "So, you already knew?" Mason rushed to explain, worried I'd be angry. There were inconsistencies with Lily. "Only 3 people in your family knew about my engagement. It was a joke your parents made when they took me in, but she knew it, knew exactly who the supposed fiancé was, even about your mole." Cora added, "I trust science, but I trust my instincts and my eyes more." My adoptive father nodded. "Emma, we shadowed her for a long time and discovered there's a thing called a system inside her. She knew everything about the Johnsons and the Smiths. We were afraid you'd be in danger, so we didn't let you acknowledge them right away. You don't blame us, do you?" I hadn't finished processing when a shriek split the audio on the laptop. "You're not." The man on screen whipped out a syringe and drove it into Lily's neck. Her eyes rolled back. She collapsed. 2 men in military uniforms stepped in, saluted smartly, and said, "Thank you, Mr. Nolan, Mr. Liam, for your cooperation. We've apprehended the rogue system as this woman is a migrant from Planet Sue who should have been detained. During transfer, she encountered the AS system and escaped. Fortunately, you both assisted." "Oh, Sue. Migrants. System as..." So the world building really has gone interstellar, huh? After they left, my dad and Liam filled us in. It turned out my kidnapping had been orchestrated by it chose Lily as a substitute to seize my destiny. The Smiths later adopted Mason, so Lily schemed to get into our university, snip my hair for DNA tests, and, to claim my luck, as needed to shatter me first and crack my life pattern. She planned to poison Liam and Cora after marrying in, to take the Smiths' family fortune entirely. What she didn't know was every drug she used had already been swapped by Liam and sent to a lab for analysis. My dad and Liam had been secretly mixing a specialized agent into her meals to paralyze the system. Just now, the lab finally extracted the parasite from her brain, the AS system itself. The recognition ceremony was finally held. Liam Smith stood on stage, voice trembling. "Emma Johnson is our biological daughter." Applause thundered. My mother's eyes suddenly went red. I stepped forward, took my mom's hand in one and Cora's in the other, and smiled. "So what if I have 2 mothers?" Tears streamed down Cora's face. My mother snorted proudly. "See? We taught her well." Mason stood to the side, for once looking a touch nervous. My mom nudged me with an elbow. "Well, aren't you going to call him brother?" I shot him a lazy look. "Nope. Mason Smith. His eyes darkened, his lips pressed tight. I drawled on purpose. He's my fiancé anyway, why call him anything else? His head snapped up, eyes blazing like fire. My adoptive father shouted at once. This brat got himself kicked out of the Smiths just to get close to my daughter. My mom grinned, tugging on Dad's sleeve. Oh, hush. A son or a son-in-law, same difference. Mason had already pulled me into his arms, brow resting against mine, voice rough. Fiancé, this time, you're not getting away.